places to run in the new dates, and plus because it's getting summer, so people really don't know if will work through summer because we are now home, or we will have summer vacation in August. So that's also a question. That's why many still don't have the new dates, but the majority are not canceled, and people are not shut it down. We're just home, working from home, and we cannot have the event. But everything will be worked out because we have the case of China, and there's a lot of positive messages coming from China as well. I believe that we are not in the same pace. The majority of you are getting in lockdown. So we were there 1 week ago. Everything that you're telling me that the supermarkets do not have staff and so on. So we were there. So it is just a phase because people are get worried and they run into the supermarkets and get toilet paper for 1 year. But the situation here is back to normal. We just don't want to get out of the house because we don't want to get infected or to infect someone. But my feelings is that we are going to press this. This is the hardest week for us, and then good times will come. And then I was looking into the situation of the majority of the countries. And yes, China was affected, but not so many Asian countries around China. So that's very curious. And then Europe, because of what happened in Italy, and also there is a lot of traveling people around Europe. So Europe got infected very, very fast. And now USA, and I guess it's coming into Africa, but then I see that you guys are taking measures also to protect yourself and faster than we did it in Europe. So all the countries are learning from what happened in the not all Europe, because I guess that it's not spread across all Europe. Next to Spain, in Portugal, there are only 600 people infected, so it's not as serious there. In other countries, it's not that serious. So there are different phases of countries being locked down. So first it starts not gathering more than 20 people, then working from home, then events being postponed. So what we should do is continue to work, and because the events are there. So you all went through your list of events and event organizers. Some of them is still not postponed or even canceled. So just take and refresh your Excel with the new dates. But do not take them because they will happen. They will be there, and we need the event organizers' contacts to be sending information, the videos, the content, everything that we are cooking and be able to broadcast very, very fast.
And we need, if I can jump in there, I think we need to make sure that the event organizers know that we're still here as well. There's an impression around the world where travel has just stopped and everyone's shut down, and you hear all the horror stories, but there's still a lot of people, a lot of companies out there that are fine, surviving, they're planning. And so I think by communicating with these event organizers that are out there, clearly they're still working. They might be shut down, but they're still looking at their emails and they're still planning ahead. And they still need to hear from us and to make sure that that they know that we're still here. So with the events that you were saying that have already been scheduled for the last quarter of the year. So as far as you're aware at this stage, then those events haven't changed their plans. They haven't postponed yet. They're still booked in. Is that right?
Yes, there are many countries that events are still booked in. So, for instance, we saw in Holland. So I was working with our agent from Holland. He's in the call, and he's doing this event list. And he found out that some events are still running. Maybe they will be postponed, but they're still running. And Holland, we know that there's not many infected people there. So, but there's other examples. So the Arab countries, the virus is still not there. So they're running their life as and doing many events as they were not affected. So the countries that are not affected, they still have all the events going. There is one thing, because we work. The majority of the events are international, and the flights for this period are stopped, at least from some of the countries that are not really infected. They do not accept people from Europe or from China or from the majority of countries that have a lot of number of cases. But there's still events going on. Even in the USA, there were still events going on. They just moving the dates now because their numbers got very high. But we have many countries with no problem so far. So South America, for example, the Arab countries, for example, and even in Asia, there are many countries with no problems, and events are running there. So for the agents that are there, we still have a job to do at this moment for the events that are still running. And of course, then because we all have a license that we can operate in other countries, as we are still looking for events globally, for events that still are being run, and they need our help to find the best hotels and to support them. So there's still a lot of things for us to do now, and a lot of things for us to prepare for when good times come for our countries. That will be July or June or whatever it can be.
Yeah, no, I think that's really relevant, and I think that's great. And I think you're absolutely right. It's a case of looking globally, and really when these countries like Spain and other areas start to come out of this, as agents, and I think we touched on this last week, you might be in a zone that hasn't come out of it yet, but there's nothing to stop you from targeting a region or a country that has come out of it. And these people will be very eager to get back to business, and they're very eager to host their event and get it going very quickly, because otherwise they're losing a lot of revenue. And the more event organizers, the more exhibitors, the more tickets they sell to their event, and the faster they get that going, and the more people support them, then the quicker the recovery is. And those people will need accommodation, and that our service then flows directly through onto the hotels, so we can help support hotels in those regions by directing the bookings towards them. There's a couple of questions coming through, Vanessa, so I'll just read these
I cannot see that.
to you as well. So from this one from Doreen, what I find is that companies are very wary about committing for last 6 months of the year, and are organizing more and more VCs until the scare gets less about traveling. VCs, I'm assuming you mean virtual conferences. So they're scheduling more and more. Okay. What do you say about that, Vanessa? What's been your experience?
So, yeah, I mean, I guess, Doreen, you're also very connected to the Madrid events. And yes, it is a fact. So a lot of event organizers are running events over video. because exactly what we want to do in Hotels TV, because they're saying that we are still here and we have content, and we have something to inform you and to help you spend time that you are home, because what happens here is that everybody is home at home. We are not allowed to get out of the house,
yeah,
unless we go to the supermarket or walk the dog, which is 5 minutes or 10 minutes the most of our time. So what we are doing is, this week it started a lot of people contacting us to be through conferencing and stuff, and there is the risk that some of the events will be in a conference, but we know that every conference or whatever is available for a conference, is that a certain amount of people can join in, but we cannot all participate, or we cannot all show our voice, or there's no networking. And at least in Spain, it's all about networking. People need to connect and to see each other and to get out and to talk, and not just be in the event where they get information, but also connecting, be socializing, and so on. So all the events, when the time comes and when we are allowed to go out, events will come out. Yes, there is one thing that people do not want to commit. Hotels do not want to commit on the reservations that we might do, because actually they don't know if they are able to get people or not. Situation here in Spain is that the hotels are also closed. They cannot have any people because we cannot travel, we cannot move, we cannot get out of the house. But honestly, I believe that our situation, because we are one of the earliest countries going into it, we will also be getting out of it sooner. So situation at this moment is that they don't want to commit, but we already know that we can count on them for that time. Just make the best of telling them who we are, which customers we have, who we represent, and if definitely with our video channel, this will make us strong and will make us more believable on what we can deliver when we can make the events.
Yeah, I think it's about positioning ourselves as an authority in this marketplace, which is why I think the video will work quite well with our event organizers and with some of the people that we're going to be interviewing as well. I think it's going to be really interesting for a lot of event organizers. So I've started to cast that net out now to start to invite these people to talk about their experience and what they're going through. And I think that's going to be of real interest to other event organizers and hoteliers as well. There's a couple of points, a question coming through from Hamza, which I'll just summarize. Hamza, you've sent a couple through. We need to accept the fact that it's affecting our business currently, and knowing Hotels TV main focus area is helping organizers. What other way out do we have? So yeah, look, no one's denying that the market has all but shut down, but there are a few pockets of things, of glimmers of hope that are still happening. It definitely, everyone's affected. There's no doubt about that side. And everyone's going into it at a slightly different time. And some countries now are closing before they have a problem, because they just anticipate the problem from looking at the other countries now. Like New Zealand has had about 150 cases, something like that, but they can see the upward curve. It's pretty clear that if they don't shut down and isolate people, then that's the case. So, no, I think, being very, very realistic, it's going to be a slow road to recovery out of here. However, and I think the point we're trying to make is that, it's a case of still continuing, keeping the message going, keeping in touch with the event organizers, and putting your focus on the areas that are most likely to recover sooner, and therefore you'll be back into bookings and revenue sooner in those locations. So to keep connected to the market, keep very aware, and you can certainly search around the internet, but looking around the internet and looking at pages, you'd have to read all the websites to see who's open and who's delayed and read all the news. This is one of the reasons why Hotels TV has created this channel, is because we want to start reporting on this, because there is no easy way to find out which countries and which hotels and which events are opened and closed. But this channel should be the authority to do that as well. And I'll put that back to you guys as agents, is I would love you guys to send us a weekly report on what is going on in your cities. You can even do it video. We can do an interview like this interview with Vanessa. If you guys can get involved, you not only position yourselves as an authority in front of your market, but you're right there in the zone and you can report back. And we can be delivering this information firsthand directly to the event organizers that we will shortly be introducing to this channel. And the more we push that and the more we keep helping the market and delivering this information, I see a really good opportunity to start generating advertising revenue in the meantime, because there are still businesses that are open for business. There are still companies, technology companies that are working from home, but they certainly have not closed and they're still spending advertising money. There are event organizers out there that would perhaps like to book something in the Middle East and aren't aware that Saudi Arabia may still be open for business, or that Dubai, there may still be an audience somewhere. And I think realistically for the next couple of months, it's going to be difficult. It might even be the next 3 to 6 months. It's going to be difficult. But it's up to us to really look for those pockets and deliver that information and do what we can in the meantime to keep everything going. I'll just read a couple of other notes down here. Chantel as well in South Africa. Unfortunately, Africa is just starting with this. We are waiting for another presidential press conference tonight to see what else he wants to implement. Africa will start going into full lockdown from now on. Interestingly, what in your countries, in your cities, when they're going into lockdown, what are they telling you about lockdown? Are you locked down for 2 weeks, 4 weeks? Is it going to be 3 to 6 months? Maybe you can all just pop a note, because you're all over the world. Just put a note in. So Doreen's 12 weeks. In the UK. Just that might be interesting, because in Australia the message came through that and I think it was to manage people's expectations more than anything, but the expectation or the managing of the expectations was up to 6 months here till things get back to normal. Now what that means, I don't know. I think it's more of a case of they really want people to understand that they need to not go to bars and restaurants. We had a bit of a situation where there were thousands of people at Bondi Beach on Friday and Saturday after the Prime Minister had actually said, we need to start isolating, and he gave people the benefit of the doubt. And I think, there was 2,000 people between the age of 15 and 25 that had turned up not really caring. And then he came back on Sunday and said, that's not acceptable. We now have to close everything. And so they're making these measures to really push this through. So they're telling 6 months, but I think a lot of that's trying to scare people into doing the right thing. And hopefully it'll come through a bit sooner. Malaysia, from Hamza, that's 2 weeks at the moment, but this will be extended after review. Yeah, I think 2 weeks is a bit optimistic. Chantel, no time frame given for us yet, but no flying in or out. Try not to shop. Companies are closing daily. Restaurants and bars cannot sell alcohol after 6 p.m. and beaches in Durban are closed. In Lagos now, we're going into lockdown for up to 14 days. No social gatherings of any type. You cannot be more than 20 persons in a group at a time. From Harry, London is still very casual for some reason. Yeah, I thought that was a bit interesting. I've been watching the news, and there's a few mixed messages there where schools are out, but still people. Once again, people still get together in groups, and they still get to Friday and they go, "Well, let's go out for a drink. Let's go and have a beer." They can't. I think the pubs are closed now. They've closed all the pubs and things like that. So, yeah, it's quite interesting. So, anyway, Vanessa, your comments on any of that?
Yeah. So here it started the same, like you mentioned, when schools were closed, and this was 2 weeks ago. Next day, people were on because Madrid we don't have the beach, but that actually happened in Portugal. But here, people went to the gardens and to the parks, and the next day, police had to close the gardens. So it was like, and then they were starting to disinfect the gardens and everything. So saying people, you need to stay at home. And at the beginning, 2 weeks ago, this was not a lockdown completely. This was just, please stay home. And then it happened the same. People would still go to the bars. People still go out to friends' house and on the street. So then the government had to impose an alert position, which means that sending the army and police to the streets and putting fines to people that are on the streets. And then there were a lot of people traveling to the second house, and so there was like roadblocks and everything. So at this point we are on total lockdown. What government says was first was for 15 days. Now it's more 15 days. So in total 1 month. But let's see. Now people, I guess people learn, but people learn to stay home after we get many infected cases, and people start getting a fine because they were on the street. And there was some funny cases. So like this guy had a place where he was selling meat. I don't remember the English words. So it's like a grocery, but only sell only meat. And this guy had a bar next to it. So the bar was closed, and then people were accessing from the meat door to get to the bar. Yeah, so the bar was
people. When they're determined, aren't they? Really, it doesn't matter. Right. And it's interesting. I found it interesting that they were, limiting alcohol during this, and I thought, and it's not bars necessarily. They're even limiting in some countries. They're limiting the sale of alcohol, because obviously once you've had a drink, you'll go and do anything, and you won't listen to anything. And I thought that was quite interesting, and it just shows you socially how people misbehave. It doesn't matter what type of crisis you come through. There's still people that think that it doesn't apply to them. And I think that's probably the strangest thing. So, I think most governments seem to be united in the way they're handling it. They have a 1, 2, 3, 4 stage program. The first stage is, to start to lock down, and then you have the different stages of lockdown as well. And then hopefully what we'll start to do is start to see people, the lockdown starting to come back the other way. So they're at stage 4, then they're at stage 3, then they're at stage 2, then they're at stage 1, because they're going to have to manage their way out of this as well as into this, because what they don't want is they don't want another outbreak by just letting people out all at a time. So this is why I think it'll take a little bit longer, but it's up in the air. Hamza says we need to embrace this patiently and keep together. And I completely agree with that, Hamza. I think patience is the key. We're not the only industry that's hurt and damaged by this. There was long queues to the unemployment office today in Australia, all the way down the street and around the corner since the announcements yesterday. All the casual staff in businesses, in hotels, in bars and restaurants have been let go, and it's only the permanent staff, because businesses find them harder to release, from their contracts, whereas the casual staff, they can get rid of at any notice. So there's going to be a lot of casualties. Things are going to look a bit different on the other side, but I agree. Patience for us. We're the type of business, because we're a franchise unit, our overheads are very much split around everyone, and they're not very high, as you know, but they're diluted. The effect on us is diluted because we've got lots of self-employed people. We all still need to earn some money, and that's what I'm trying to do through releasing the live streaming channel, is to also get you thinking and involved, keep you involved in this industry, give you an opportunity to earn some money, keep you connected to the event organizers, so we're in a much stronger position by the time the market comes back. And if the market takes a little bit longer, that's okay, because we can still manage through having great content on the video channel, giving lots of really good city-based or regional-based information, and we need to sell video reviews of hotels. We need to sell advertising space to MasterCard, Visa. We need to sell to mobile phone companies. We need to sell to technology companies. And in your regions and in your cities globally, you have that opportunity to do that, because, you know, we can focus a segment specifically on Johannesburg, or we can focus it on Penang or Kuala Lumpur. We can put a special together that attracts event organizers. So we need a database of event organizers, okay? And that's what you should be building in your Excel spreadsheets. And then we need some news and information about your city. And then once we've released that, then what we do is we demonstrate that audience to advertisers, and they will be mad not to advertise, because it's such a high value audience. Now, when I say high value, think about that. The high value is that basically these event organizers could be responsible for anything from $200,000 to $1 million in spend for their particular events, depending on the size of them. And that's the audience that we're attracting. So to put those people in front of potential advertisers is very valuable. Hotels are also what we're going to be attracting. So we're going to be attracting hoteliers, so people that own hotels, people that run hotels, and putting them together with the event organizers. But also, there are lots of technology companies out there that would love an audience of hoteliers. Okay, so this is a great opportunity to bring in those technology companies that maybe do the payment screens in a restaurant, the iPads in the rooms, that create that manufacture toiletries, you know, that do all sorts of systems. That hotels there's so many different areas of hotels, that there's so many different suppliers that want into this market, and more than ever at this point in time, is it a great opportunity to keep in front of your market. And you speak to, you Google any advertising guru out there, they'll say, during these harder times, do not stop your advertising. You can stop everything else. Do not stop your advertising, because when it comes back, these are the people that are going to come directly to you. Just a couple more things. Do we have any info costs of advertising? Yep, good question. I will come back to that in a second. Just one note from Sunil, who's in the Netherlands. In Holland, it's also getting worse. Specialists here are also advising to go over to lockdown as soon as possible. So I think everyone's going to go through the same. As Vanessa said, Spain's going in and out of it. They'll be one of the first to come out. Italy, I don't know. That might take a little bit longer. So we'll just see. But look, if you keep us informed, it's really, really interesting that you give us your perspective. But what would be great is that, can you organize some meetings, some interviews that we can do with hoteliers and event organizers? If you can do that over the next week, that would be fantastic. So any contacts you've got at the hotels, let's get them on Skype, and let's get the real facts coming out of these hotels. Let's talk to the event organizers, because they're actually going to tell us when they're looking at restarting. So let's get it right from the horse's mouth. It's so, so valuable, this information. Now, coming back to costs, Hams is just saying we have to keep our costs as low as possible. Look, absolutely. Keep your own costs absolutely to a minimum. No offices, no co-working spaces. You don't need to spend money at the moment. You've got everything you need. You can just operate from home. And if you're going to get involved with generating content and selling advertising, and I'll go through the rates in a minute, then you just need a phone. That's all you need. You need a phone, you need a computer, you need an internet connection. You don't need to meet anyone. You don't need to see anyone. We're going to provide you all the marketing material you need. Over the next week is when we're actually going to do that. Now that we've got the channel kind of in some sort of shape, we're going to start producing that material. And then have a look around your market, and you will see who is still advertising. How do you see that? Go onto Facebook. Go onto Google. All right. When you go and search something to do with events or hotels, whichever advertising pops up on the screen, and I guarantee you there will be advertising popping up on the screen, they're spending money on advertising. Simple as that. So do your research first. Take note of what's going on around you, and then start to target those particular operators or similar companies to those operators. Now, as a sale price for advertising, what we're looking at is 30 cents per view. Now, remember, this is a valuable audience. And we can always negotiate on this, but we want advertisers that are prepared to spend 30 cents per view with a minimum of $3,000 a month advertising spend. Okay. And they're going to be targeting a very valuable audience. So that means for you selling it, you're going to be looking at probably 10 to 20% commission on that. We'll try and make it as high as possible. Well, let's say we work in at 15%. So out of, what's that, out of 3,000, that's $450 in commission for selling that. Now, when you sell it, what we want to do, the ideal contract for us, is to do a minimum 3-month term. But once again, we'll negotiate. Maybe we'll do minimum 1 month or minimum 2 months, to get the ball rolling. So we have to have a starting point. 30 cents per click in the advertising world, per view in the advertising world for a premium audience is reasonable. Okay. So, and you can Google that. That is reasonable for a high quality audience. And that's what we're concentrating on. We may even offer a click-through rate of $10 to $20 as well for some. So if they want clicks, then they're going to pay $10 to $20 per click. Now, if you're on Google, you will easily pay $10 to $20 per click if you're an OTA or you're a hotel. By the time, if you wanted to be at the top of searches under London hotels, for example, you're probably paying more than that per click by the time you've finished. So, even $10 per click through or up to $20 per click through is something that we may also offer in addition to the per view. Okay. And the way we work out the views on live streaming is by the number of attendees we have, because there's one live stream, it's live streaming, but we can then work out how many attendees we've got at any one time, and that's what we'll be billing those particular customers off. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. There's a number of different ways that you can charge. There's CPM, which is per 1,000 views, which you can charge as well. But that's for an ad. So that's for a 6-second ad. Now, if we've got to create the ad, we're going to charge them for that. If they give us a decent size minimum 3-month contract, then we'll make the ad included in that amount. We also have videos like you've seen and like you see on the screen at the moment for the Shanti Maurice. Okay, so this particular video we sold to the Shanty Maurice for $5,500 to create this video. And there was about 15 to 20% commission in it for the salesperson for this video. Now, we're prepared to sell and do the video production, including the marketing, for $2,500. So in other words, we'll create the video, okay, for $2,500, and then they will spend 30 cents per view every time it's played across our channel. Okay, so I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea. I need to write it out. I need to put it into a presentation for you. That's the next step. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of how we can start to sell the advertising across the channel. But first things first. Number one, we need the event organizers gathered into a spreadsheet so that we can start to warm them up and get them to subscribe to the channel. That's the first thing. Number two, which is actually number one as well, at the same time, we need to be creating some really good content, live videos. They can be recorded videos, but we'll present them live, and then we'll just click a button and people will watch them, as you've seen. That's why I wanted you to see this technology tonight, just so you understand what we can do to easily throw a clip in there, which could be an ad. I'll show you a few different. We can provide different backgrounds, presenters in different backgrounds. We can do different city landscapes. So if you're presenting from Madrid or you're presenting from London, we'll put Madrid or London in the background. You know, we can even be in a hotel lounge, you know, doing a particular broadcast. And this is one I made earlier today. This was a live interview I had with someone earlier today. Or you can put yourself on top and actually review a hotel directly to camera. So these are things that you can either get involved with or leave it to us. We're happy to do it. But if you can contribute by setting up interviews with hotel people or owners or staff and also event organizers, that would be fantastic. All right. Anything to add? There's a few other questions here I'll read through in a minute, but anything to add to that, Vanessa?
No.
Okay. Okay. Oh, no, I think there's no more questions on that. So hopefully that's been pretty clear today as to what the plan is. We'll look at what we do to fix the streaming bit rate on the video as well. But I think it's probably a case of just too many devices connected for me. Also, I think what you're going to find is that more and more people working from home, it's going to slow down a lot of internet connections. A lot of the ISPs, the internet service providers, are a little bit concerned about everyone working from home, because everyone works on a shared internet connection with their whole neighborhood effectively. That's how the pipe comes into your house. It's not just your own dedicated pipe. Generally, it's shared. So if everyone's working from home, you all might find the internet working a little bit slower than normal. Depends on where you are and what you have. So look, that's it from me. We will keep you up to date. Oh, it's something from Harry coming through in London. With smaller hotels, what do we say to the hoteliers who are on a budget at this time regarding their marketing? So as far as their marketing, so if you mean that we're looking to attract smaller hotels to advertise on the channel or to have a video shot, then we would be prepared. And it's an interesting point, because we would have a different rate for a smaller hotel. So if there's a boutique hotel with 60 rooms or less, but they're interested in the publicity, well, clearly it's going to take us less time to video that hotel. it may be that that hotel already has video content that we just need to re-edit. So what we can do is really, the way I would suggest you handle that is say, look, this is what we normally charge. And then get into a negotiation with them to say, okay, well, look, what is affordable for you? What are you looking to spend? And then see if we can put a package together. And what you can do is, especially in the early days, is to really talk about the concept and talk about the market and talk about the benefit of the audience and give them a price, get their response. And then if they want to negotiate something that fits into their budget, you can sort of take it away from them and say, okay, well, look, yeah, let's see what we can do for you. I understand what your budget is. So if we can do something that fits into your budget, then you'd be happy to do something with us. Get that confirmation from that hotel that they would be happy provided it's affordable. And then we'll create a package for them that is affordable, especially in the early days. I think it's really important. We don't want to undersell ourselves, but at the same time, we want content on this channel. So if we need to negotiate with a smaller hotel to give them a bit of airplay, then I'd be very happy to do that. Doreen has come in with, we could advertise their space for an event and get the event organizer to pay for it. Well, absolutely. I mean, one of the things is we do have a fully fledged booking system that sits behind everything. So if we had a hotel that wanted to promote a particular bedroom offer, or if they wanted to promote a meeting room booking, we could actually set it up on our platform and during the broadcast put a link on the video that they just click the link and they end up directly on the hotel's TV booking page. And they can make their booking then and there. And that's very accountable. From an analytics perspective, it separates the traffic that we could send a hotel or send a venue because they can see exactly where the booking is coming from. So that could be a way to do it. But yeah, one of the points that you hit on there, Doreen, is that if we focus on promoting venues as well, so it's not just hotels, it's event space, it's a conference center, it's a golf club that has a place that you can get married, it's a wedding venue. These are all places that could advertise on our channel to all these event organizers. You see, remember, we do the hotel bookings, okay? We are not the venue bookers, although some of us can be, and you can certainly earn commission by doing that. But if you want to earn money advertising, I would suggest you give a little bit away, which means that you go and get the venue to advertise and take money off them, knowing that we're going to be linking an event organizer directly to that event, either through us or directly, and we're going to be promoting that venue. And then by doing that, we're also promoting our own services. So hopefully, maybe you don't pick up the commission on booking the venue. That's fine, because they want to go directly, and we've introduced them to the venue, and the venue's paid us the advertising money. And what you've done is you've picked up the bookings, the hotel bookings from that, and you've got a share of the advertising revenue. So, you've got to be careful. You can't have it always, So if you don't want to charge the event organizer or the venue, and you just want to get a commission, then that's different. Okay. But then that's a harder way at the moment to make money. But if you get money off the venue to promote them, then you don't take the commission, but you pick up the hotel bookings. Hopefully that makes some sense as well. But definitely when we've got, just think about the types of businesses that engage with event organizers, venues, internet providers, people who make the stands for the event. There's electricians that have to work on this stuff. There's van drivers, there's airport transfers, there's hotels, there's so many different, there's ticket services, companies that have the event registration technology that may want to get in front of event organizers. And then what about hoteliers? Who wants to get in front of hoteliers, which we discussed before? There's a whole range of services from laundry to the crockery, the cutlery, the knives and forks that go into the restaurant, to the technology, the suppliers of alcohol. You might find some boutique gin companies or boutique beer brewers that would love to get their beers into selected hotels. I mean, it's endless as to the types of potential advertisers that want to access this market. So, So hopefully this has given you a lot of food for thought. Over the next week or two, we'll start to fill in the blanks even more. And obviously, we're moving at a pretty quick pace. We only launched this idea a week ago. And that came off the back of obviously a really torrid 48 hours of international closures. So, in a week's time, in a week, we have a TV channel effectively. So we have a platform now and to go out to the world. We've got agents all over the world, which is you guys, in cities everywhere, who should be finding out information, talking to hotels, talking to event organizers, getting up to date with exactly what's going on. So you either can report back or you can set up interviews that we can talk to them, because this is not just valuable information for you, but it's valuable information for all these event organizers and hoteliers as well. And they will tune in because they want to see what everyone's thinking. They're not getting this information anywhere else. Except, you get e-hotelier and hotel marketing. They're all doing stories about it, but there's no videos and there's no interviews that's going on about it. So we want to be that channel. And then what we'll do is we'll fill in the blanks over the next week as to how we can start to monetize that. So, 2-3 weeks down the track, I hope to have some content by the end of this week that starts going live. And I hope that we can get into a situation where we're inviting the event organizers in and sending emails out at the end of this week and the start of next week. And then followed up soon after that, we're talking to advertisers. That's the rollout plan. So it can't happen quick enough for me. I'm on it. So, would love your cooperation and love you to get involved as well. So look, that's it. So thank you very much for joining us. If you have any questions, please send them through to us or contact Vanessa, who's been in contact with you all. So I know you all have her direct details. So yeah. Any last thoughts, Vanessa?
No. Just we have plenty to do.
Hey, look, we have plenty to do, and that's a good thing. There's lots of active, good, positive things we can be doing in this market right now that have a lot of value, and that you will be repaid for. Like anything, the more effort you put in, the more you're entitled to take out.
And exactly, and the good value of it is that we are able to transform ourselves according to the market. So the market is that we cannot do events now. We cannot go into the street, but we can prepare them, and we can. It's the opportunity to launch the channel of hotels.tv, which was the beginning of everything.
Yeah, which is great in a sense. No one wants to be in this situation globally, but in business you have to be prepared to adapt, and you have to add value. And I've always said this through our presentations: we have to add value, otherwise there's no transaction. Whether it's booking events, groups, working with hotels. At the moment, we have a really valuable contribution to make, which is reporting on these destinations. That will put you in a position of being an authority in this market. And I think in 6 months, we can capture the event organizer marketplace tuning into our channel, and possibly the hoteliers marketplace as well, watching our feeds, watching our interviews, tuning into our channel. That puts us in a very, very strong position when we need to send our messages out and work with these events globally. And obviously they'll recognize you by the time that you call these event organizers or see an event. You mentioned Hotels TV. They've already heard of you because they've been watching all the interviews on our channel. That's why they see you as an authority. So the more work we can put into that right now, then the stronger we're going to be very, very shortly. So thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your questions. Thank you, Vanessa. And I look forward to seeing you in a week's time, but expect to hear from us with email shots and a bit more information about the next steps. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.